My name is Eric. I am 35, and I have always considered myself an average guy. I work at an insurance company, live in a house in the suburbs. My life might be a little boring, but it is stable. And then there was my wife, Kelly. Beautiful, charismatic, the kind of woman who turns heads before she even says a word. We had been together for 7 years. At least, that is what I believed. Something changed over the past few months. She became distant, laughed less at my jokes, came home late from her gym sessions, and always kept her phone face down. I made excuses for everything: stress, exhaustion, maybe seasonal depression. But deep down, I felt it. Something was wrong. One evening, she fell asleep on the couch. Her phone vibrated, a message from someone saved as "J. Trainer flexed biceps." I remembered her mentioning a trainer named Jared a few times. I had a gut feeling. I opened the message. I crave your touch. Today's workout was fire. It hit me like a jolt of electricity. My blood roared in my ears. I did not yell. I did not wake her up. I just quietly placed the phone back where it was. And I knew the end had already begun. But instead of destroying everything right away, I decided to play a game. Her game. But by my rules. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. Kelly was still asleep, lying there so peacefully, as if she carried no guilt at all. I made coffee like I always did, smiled at her during breakfast. She did not notice a thing. But inside, I was already putting the puzzle together. I started with the simplest step. I checked the family laptop. Her Instagram account was still logged in. There it was, tons of likes from that same J. Trainer, comments like "looking amazing" and "those legs though." She replied with heart emojis. Nothing scandalous in public, but there was something in between the lines. Especially on a photo of her in short shorts after a workout, captioned, "Back at it." And again, Jared was the first to comment. So I went further. I created a fake account, a young fitness-obsessed girl, supposedly new in town, looking for a trainer. I messaged Jared, introducing myself as Haley. And he responded almost immediately. Polite, professional, but he agreed to a personal trial session way too quickly. Then, just 2 days into our chat, he sent a shirtless selfie with the message, "A real trainer is always ready to motivate." That is when everything clicked. He was wearing the same bracelet I had seen on Kelly's nightstand. Using the same towel from our bathroom. He was not just flirting. He had already been in our house. And that is when I decided I would not just catch her. I would make her confess. Willingly. On camera. The game had only just begun. I knew that a regular confrontation would lead nowhere. She would deny everything, come up with excuses, cry, blame me for not trusting her, and we would be stuck in an endless loop of manipulation. So I decided to do things differently. Step 1 was setting up a hidden camera in our bedroom, the kind that looks like a charging adapter. I ordered it online and configured it to record whenever motion or sound was detected in the room. I also left a voice recorder hidden in the closet, tucked between old clothes. If she brought him into our home, I would know. Step 2, I became the perfect husband. Flowers for no reason. Dinners I cooked myself. massages after her workouts. And you know what? She bloomed. Smiled more. It felt like something had been lifted off her guilt, fear, or maybe both. I waited. And it happened in the third week. I was on a business trip. In reality, I had rented a motel room just 20 minutes from our house. I waited until evening, checked the camera through the app on my phone, and saw her letting him into our home. He had a bottle of wine in his hands. She was smiling like a teenager. They disappeared into the bedroom. I did not watch the whole video. It hurt. But I had to. The next morning, I returned like nothing happened. Kelly asked how the trip went, and I said it was great. I even brought her a gift, a bracelet very similar to the one I had seen in Jared's photo. She froze for a second, then took it and kissed me on the cheek. And I was already planning the final act. A performance that would make her see herself from the outside. And realize who she was really dealing with. The next few days, I spent preparing. I made a reservation at the restaurant where we had celebrated our 3rd anniversary, a romantic place with dim lighting, live music, and cozy booths tucked away in private corners. I pretended I wanted to rekindle our passion and planned a surprise for Kelly. She was thrilled. I even bought her a new dress and shoes, coincidentally identical to the one she wore in that photo with Jared. The outfit was meant to silently remind her that I knew. But for now, I said nothing. Now the most important part, I contacted Jared. I created a fake social media profile and messaged him pretending to be an old friend from college. We exchanged a few casual messages, and I smoothly suggested meeting up, claiming to have a great business opportunity for him. I invited him to that same restaurant. At the exact same time. I knew Jared would never turn down a chance to make easy money. He had always been greedy. And I was right, he agreed instantly. The evening arrived. Kelly looked stunning. The dress fit her perfectly. She joked on the drive over, all smiles and joy. Maybe from the attention. Or maybe because she believed she had both men wrapped around her finger. What she did not know was that both men were now in the same place, staring at each other, but not as allies, as enemies. When we arrived at the restaurant, we were led to our table. I ordered wine. We made small talk. And then, the moment I had been waiting for arrived. "Kelly, I have a surprise for you," I said. "Another one," she laughed. "You're being such a Romeo tonight." "Not exactly. It's more like a blast from the past." At that moment, the waiter escorted Jared to the table next to ours. He did not notice us, perfect angle. But Kelly spotted him immediately. Her smile vanished. Her eyes widened. She froze. "What is he doing here?" she whispered, shaking her head. "Maybe he's on a date. I wonder with who." I pulled out a tablet and, without looking at her, hit play. Footage from the hidden camera appeared. Her letting Jared into the house. Her voice, her laughter. Then, the bedroom. Not everything, of course. But more than enough. Kelly grabbed her mouth in shock. "How did you? Why would you?" "Oh, do not worry. That's not all," I replied calmly. "I invited one more person." "What?" Just then, a waitress approached and led another woman to the table. She looked about 35, bold red lipstick, phone in hand. She looked straight at Jared and simply said, "Seriously, Jared? This one's married too?" Ard practically jumped when he saw her. "Amanda? What are you doing here?" "The same thing you are. Only I came to find out just how deep your lies go," she said, holding up her phone. On the screen was one of his messages. "Don't worry, she has no idea. Everything's under control, baby." Kelly said nothing. She was pale as a ghost, panic flooding her eyes. I just sat there, calmly sipping my wine. Playing by her rules had been tough, but playing better? That was delicious. "So, Jared," I said, "why don't you tell us, how many other babies do you have?" It's not what it looks like," he stammered. "You don't understand." "Oh, I understand perfectly," Amanda cut him off. "You lied to me. And now I find out you have been sleeping with a married woman too." "Ex-wife," I said quietly, glancing at Kelly. "Right, Kelly? Because as of this moment, it's over." Her lips were trembling. She tried to speak, but I did not give her the chance. "You know what hurt the most?" I leaned in. "Not the cheating. The fact that I truly believed you. I wanted to build a family with you. And you made your choice. So I made mine." I tossed an envelope onto the table. She opened it and froze. Divorce papers. Everything prepared. Everything signed. Legally airtight. "I filed the day I first saw you two together," I explained. "Today is just a formality." Kelly could not hold back the tears anymore. She stood up and walked out of the restaurant, shaky and broken. Jared started to follow, but Amanda stepped in his way. "You did not just lose, Jared. You destroyed yourself. Whatever we had, it's done." She walked away with dignity. And I was left alone at the table. The silence after the storm was almost sweet. I paid the bill, left a generous tip, they earned it, and walked out. The next morning, my phone would not stop ringing. Kelly was texting, sending tearful voice notes, begging for a chance to explain. I did not answer. She cheated knowingly, coldly, without remorse. And she did not stop, even when she realized she might lose everything. So I had no reason to stop either. A week later, Jared called me. "You ruined everything," he said. "She left me. Because of you." "Because of me?" I laughed. "You seduced my wife lied to her and to Amanda. And I am the problem? You could have handled this quietly. Without the circus. What did you really achieve?" I paused, took a breath, and replied clearly. "Justice." He hung up. But the story did not end there. That evening, Amanda messaged me. She wanted to meet. We agreed on a cafe downtown. She showed up in a sharp suit, no tears, no drama, a confident woman who had been humiliated but never lost her dignity. "Thank you for the truth," she said. "If it were not for you, I would still be living in a lie. I should thank you too. You changed everything. Without you, I might not have found the strength to go through with it. So what now? She smiled. You are a free man. With a new life. I looked at her. Her eyes were no longer sad. They shone with determination. And something else, trust. What now? I repeated. Now I want to live. For real. A month had passed. I was finally starting to breathe again. Kelly filed for divorce first, probably out of pride. All the property, including the house, was left to me. She took only her things, without a goodbye, without an explanation. I did not expect one. I got back into working out, spent more time outdoors, and kept seeing Amanda. At first, it was just coffee meetups. Two wounded souls who found a way to connect. But gradually, it became a routine, one evening a week, just the two of us. No talk about betrayal, no exes. Just two people starting over. And everything felt good. For a while. Then, one day, I got a message from a woman I did not know. It came to my personal email, one I barely checked anymore. Sorry to bother you. My name is Laura. We do not know each other, but I think you deserve to know the truth. What happened between Kelly and Jared was not an accident. It was planned. I read that sentence 5 times. They have done this before. With me and my husband. And with another couple I know. They are con artists. But the mastermind is your ex-wife. If you want to know more, meet with me. My head started spinning. I felt physically sick. I thought this was just an affair. But now it seemed like she had been part of a scheme? I arranged to meet Laura at a small cafe outside the city. She looked exhausted, but there was determination in her eyes. Thank you for coming, she said. I know how this must sound. But everything I am about to tell you is true. And I have proof. We sat down, and she began to talk. The story was unsettling. 2 years ago, I was married to a man named Travis. We were friends with Kelly and Jared. They earned our trust, were at every holiday gathering, invited us on weekend getaways. And then everything fell apart. What exactly happened? I asked, feeling my stomach tighten. Kelly started seducing my husband, and Jared me. At first, it seemed like harmless flirting. But then I found out this was not their first time. And after Travis and I divorced, I discovered Kelly had sold him a great investment deal that turned out to be a scam. She stole over $60,000 from him. I stared at her, feeling like a wave of cold water had crashed over me. You have proof? I do. Text messages, bank transfers, even a phone recording. She played an audio file. And I heard Kelly's voice. He fell for it, just like the others. We just need a couple more weeks and Jared and I will disappear. He will never see it coming. My knees went weak. I remembered all those strange moments, the late-night calls, her mysterious business trips, the jokes about easy money. This was not just cheating. It was a con. And I was their next target. Why are you telling me this only now? I asked. Because I saw your photo on Amanda's social media. I recognized Kelly. And I realized you have no idea what you are caught up in. I looked at Laura, and for the first time in a while, something stirred inside me, not just heartbreak or anger. I wanted to strike back. Not emotionally, but strategically. Precisely. Painfully. This was no longer revenge for a broken heart. This was a mission to expose them and destroy their entire scheme. Laura and I sat hunched over her laptop late into the night. Everything she showed me only confirmed my worst suspicions. Kelly and Jared were not just a couple of cheaters. They had built an entire scheme, gaining the trust of successful couples, tearing their marriages apart by exploiting emotional weaknesses, and then extracting money either directly or under the guise of investments. You're not the first. And if we do nothing, you definitely won't be the last, Laura said, showing me a spreadsheet of their previous victims. 8 names. All men. All had lost between $20,000 and $100,000. We need to stop this. And do it in a way that they never walk away clean again, I said. I have an idea, Laura smiled. But for this, we need to play a role. I listened to her plan, and the more I heard, the more I liked it. The idea was simple. I would pretend I knew nothing, and offer Kelly a chance to invest money I supposedly received from selling my business. She would believe her manipulation worked and try to scam me again. But this time, everything would be recorded. Laura agreed to act as my financial advisor in this setup. We created a fake company, built a website, printed business cards, even drafted official-looking investment documents. I texted Kelly. I have something to talk to you about. Can we meet? It's about money. You might be the first person I trust with this. Her reply came fast. Of course, baby. When and where? I wanted to scream. But I had to play the part. We agreed to meet for dinner at the same restaurant where we once celebrated our anniversary. And I already had the evening mapped out, down to the last detail. The next day, Laura and I planted a micro camera in my watch and a voice recorder in my jacket pocket. All recordings were streamed directly to the cloud. We could not take any chances. I dressed like I was heading to an important business meeting. Everything inside me was screaming, but on the outside, I was calm. Even slightly smiling. When Kelly arrived, she looked like nothing had happened. Or maybe, like she believed everything was going exactly according to her plan. You said it was something important, she asked, leaning in flirtatiously. I looked her straight in the eyes and said, yes. This will change everything between us. But not in the way you think. I poured Kelly a glass of wine and pretended to be nervous. I thought you should be the first to know, I began. I finally sold the startup $7 million. Clean. Something flashed in her eyes, something hungry, predatory. She instantly smiled, took my hand. I always believed in you, Harry. I knew we had a great future ahead of us. I did too, I said. That is why. I want us to start investing together. I launched a company. Small for now, but promising. And I want to make you an official partner. Offer you a stake. That was the key word. A stake? She repeated, barely able to hide her excitement. Yes. But there is a small detail. To make everything legally sound, we need an initial joint contribution. I will cover the majority, and all I need from you is confirmation of participation. A minimum of $50,000. It is just a formality so the company is legally recognized as having two owners. She hesitated for a second. But it did not stop her. Of course. Just tell me where to send the money. And just like that, the trap closed. I had already coordinated everything with a lawyer and notary. This investment was a setup, a legal sting operation. All the records, her consent to the transaction, her promises, her signed documents tied to a fake company were admissible evidence of fraud. 2 days later, when she transferred the funds, I handed everything over to the police. That is when the fun began. The arrest happened in the morning, right outside the fitness club. She was in her workout gear, coffee in hand, and did not even understand what was happening until she heard the words, "You have the right to remain silent." Jared was taken in that same evening, when he showed up at Kelly's place with a bottle of wine to celebrate their new win. The case went to court, with multiple victims testifying. Thanks to the evidence we gathered, Kelly and Jared were charged with fraud, conspiracy, financial crimes, and identity theft. The sentence: 6 years in prison and forfeiture of assets. What happened after? Laura started her own legal firm focused on helping victims of financial fraud. As for me, for the first time in a long while, I could finally breathe again. Not because I got revenge, but because the truth came out. And I stopped blaming myself. I started living again. No masks. No pain. No betrayal. The moral of this story is simple. The best revenge is not yelling, or fighting, or insults. It is the truth. It always finds a way even through lies, manipulation, and fake smiles.